This person said, I'm afraid sex will hurt and I will bleed a lot. I'm getting married soon and I'm really scared and nervous. Please help. What would you say to this girl, Melissa?
Mm. Oh, just that I think some of your fears are normal. I think a lot of young, I don't know if you're young or not, but couples that are about to get married that have never experienced sex, I think it's natural to be afraid of what it might feel like, what you might experience, if you might bleed or you might not bleed, things like that. I think I would encourage you that it might be a helpful thing to think about maybe taking some ibuprofen or Tylenol on the day of your wedding or the night that you have sex, and for you and your spouse to have some conversation and dialogue about how you want to approach that night, how you want to communicate about it. Because I think sometimes having that preliminary conversation about, hey, like if it starts hurting, how can I tell you that? Like, what should I tell you? How should I let you know? So that maybe we can slow down and take it really slow. So that would be another thing I would encourage you with, is to come up with a way of communicating on that day. Because I think some couples, they don't know what to say and they just kind of freeze and they don't talk about it. And then they kind of, again, play through some of that pain that might not be helpful. And then the other thing I would just encourage you with is maybe to consider just practicing breathing. One of the things that our body does when we get anxious is it tightens up, right? Which then makes our vaginal wall and vaginal canal tighten up as well, and our cervix tighten up. And so if you're practicing doing some breathing, I usually encourage people to look up 4-7-8 breathing. It's one of the breathing techniques that is like widespread among therapists that is used, just to like be in the habit of breathing beforehand, so that way when you get into that circumstance where you're feeling anxiety about that night, you can start breathing and helping your body to calm down. And then even during, like when you're about to engage in like consummation of your marriage, to be able to breathe through that, so that, you can relax your body and probably not experience as much pain. I would definitely say that maybe your first time might be uncomfortable or just not have much comfort, but maybe it doesn't have to be excruciatingly painful. And if we're breathing through that, that might be helpful. So yeah, those are just some little things that might
Yeah,
help.
no, I think that's awesome. And I think one of the pieces that you mentioned, just managing expectations, like talking through it beforehand is so key. Because, we've talked before, about your article and about shame, and that shame piece that comes with, sexual pain and being afraid, like there's something wrong with me, like what's wrong with me, what's wrong with us. And, just managing those expectations before you ever get there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the other thing I'd encourage you to do is to pick up a book that would help educate you about sex. There is a great book called The Celebration of Sex for Newlyweds that I recommend to new couples before they get married to read through. And then there's some other great ones intended for pleasure. But I think having some like psychoeducation around sex might help equip you as well for not feeling maybe as fearful about what you might encounter on your first night. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Really good, like practical advice.